Welcome to the Speedway Chat Show hosted by Jerry Sims and Wilbur Hancock. We would like to say a massive thank you to all our partners that make the show possible. Make sure you like, comment, and share our videos. It helps get Speedway in front of more people. To watch the show live and engage with the guests, tune in at 7:30 p.m. UK time every Wednesday. Enjoy, buckle up, and get ready for an awesome ride.
Hey guys, it's Wednesday afternoon and we have another Speedway Chat show, and what a show we've got for you today. How are you, Wilbur? You good?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so excited for the show. I just got out of school again, so I was looking forward to this all day, and it's interesting. He has an interesting background. He's hated by a few. He's liked by many. He's an amazing rider. Got some amazing talent. And I'm really looking forward to tonight's show.
Yeah, for sure. Before we go any further into the show, I just want to say a massive thanks to Speculate to Accumulate for all their help that they have for the show. It's very much appreciated. Did any of you comment below in the comments? Did any of you download or listen to our podcast this week as well? That was the first week of the podcast. We're going to be uploading some of the old podcasts. And also at the end of the show, we have an announcement for another massive guest next week. We've got an ex-world champion who's coming on the show next week, and it's going to be amazing, and that will be announced at the end of the show. Any other news, Wilbur?
At the moment, nothing. I mean, I'm making my 500 debut this weekend, Paris Raceway. I'm very excited for that. I've been training now for about a month, really getting my head straight and ready to go for this weekend. And that plays a big part of me as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to. This show is that's what tops this week off, So how's the lockdown in the UK right now?
Well, as you can see, I'm now sporting a Tash because I got very bored in lockdown a couple of days ago.
I'm not a fan. He looks like Mario. He looks like Mario. That's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah. So I got bored in lockdown and thought I'd sport a Tash. But
not a fan.
So anyway, guys, get in the comments. There was no comments about the Tash before this, was there? No, there wasn't. So get in the comments any questions you've got for Nicki. It's going to be a great show. And Wilbur, do you want to give him the introduction that he deserves?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the 3-time world champion. Number 110, Nicki Pedersen.
Here he is. Hi, Nicki. How are you?
Good evening, guys. How are we doing?
Good. How's the whole lockdown situation? It's sort of a mandatory question you got to ask everybody at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it's pretty much the same as everywhere else when everything is shut down. You could do the food stuff and the chemi thing, and then there's all that kind of takeaways, but my plans at the moment is not too much of a takeaway with this kind of training session we're doing at the moment.
For sure.
Cool.
That's cool. When was the last time you were on the bike, though? When was the last time you were out riding?
Well, it's, that's probably end of August. No. Yeah, end of season towards, I had a bit of in Sweden, we did the playoff and the final up there. So that was kind of start of October. I did the last ride. So it's sometimes nice with a break also, so you get freshened up and get ready for the season. We were lucky in Sweden, we were good. We won in Sweden with Avesta. So that was nice.
Yeah, for sure. Jez, you want to start off with some questions?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it's evident in during lockdown that you've been cleaning your house. I've seen on Instagram there's not a speck of dust or dirt anywhere. The place looks immaculate.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it starts from Speedway. When Speedway, it's a glamour sport. Everything needs to be at the right place at the right time. And when you need to rush, people in the staff and crew needs to know where is this and where is that. And I just kind of like it that way. It's easier to clean it up straight away than leave it until tomorrow. And also, I try to, teach the family a little bit. But they're doing really great. They're helping me all the time. So. Don't get me wrong. It's not me cleaning all the time.
Now, has there been anything that you were surprised about that you picked up during quarantine? Like, did you learn how to, I don't know, knit something, or what's something new that you learned?
It's very good that you said like that. I mean, I have, I still remember back in 98 and 99 when I came to England, and I did racing in Sweden and Germany and Poland also. And the first kind of 2 years I slept in most of the airports, which was possible because I could save my 100 quid, for the hotel. I could buy me a new tire, and if the engine exploded, then I could buy a new one. So I was quite of realistic at that time. I didn't kind of had any money at all. So back nowadays, we was putting into a quarantine for 2 weeks in Poland on 5th floor without elevator in the building, and we were sitting there for 5 weeks, and there was nothing we could do, absolutely nothing. Just be there. Luckily, I got most of my family was there with me, Natasha and Liva. We could play a bit of a games and card like that, but I quite quickly realized, and I told them that, the big house we have at home, is nice to have. It's not need to have. And people need to realize that sometimes it's not about what you have. It's about what you have inside of yourself, and I just kind of like things like that and feel things like that. I know it was hard time, but I've had harder times than that. So there isn't anything that could be harder than what I actually gone through in my past. So every single day for me, is a lucky day.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. You couldn't have said it better there.
That's a great message. Yeah. So the other thing with your social media at the moment, I see you're doing a lot of training and stuff like that. And my mum sent me a message earlier, and she's a massive Nicki Pedersen fan, by the way. So Nicki, if you could just say hi, Jeanette. Like, she follows you around. She used to go to all the Grand Prix and everything.
Oh.
Hello,
Jeanette. Thank you very much to be a huge fan. I have a few like that, and especially some moms and stuff. I like that. It's great.
Yeah.
I always try to give my. Sorry.
She's got all the mugs and everything in the house.
Fantastic.
Everything. Yeah,
absolutely
big fan.
Fantastic. But I always try to give my the best time, as possible after each meetings and stuff. I think it's important, whoever is the spectators, is behind the fences, they're the reasons why we're actually on the track. And I'm a tough cookie sometimes on the track. I know that, but I like that, and I never denied it. But I really, really respect, the riders you are against. But I also respect even more the fans that actually want to watch us.
Yeah,
exactly.
So my mum's question was that you're training a lot at the moment in your social media and things like that. Is that stepped up, or have you always been like that? Have you always trained real hard, or is that something that now you're trying to keep up with the younger riders?
Well, I always trained hard, somehow, some ways, and mentally, especially mentally, some riders I see, extremely fit, but when they get onto the track, they seem to struggle a bit because the head ain't at the right place at the right time, and we're not the same people, we just have to learn from each other. So I have had seasons where I've been extremely fit, I've had other seasons where I wasn't that fit, but I wouldn't say that I could complain any of the reasons of the shape you have been in. But I probably started to be extremely fit up to the 2007 when it was actually end of six, where I came third in the world. And I wanted to get back and win the world championship again. So I trained really, really hard that year. And then I won the world championship two years in a row. And I took the hair off in the last bit just to get a little bit less weight on as well. So, but again, there comes moments and times, where I feel motivated, and I respect my life, and I still enjoy racing on my bike. And 2020 was actually a good season for me. I stayed in top 10 in the Polish Lake, which is not too bad. But again, let's see what's going to happen the next couple of years. Now I always had a physio that always got me through things if I had injuries and stuff, Lisa Tomé, which I still have, if something happens. But now I got a private trainer as well that comes to me, every second day. And I think sometimes you need to find a little bit, take something out of the box and do some and others. And I looked for a trainer for several years, actually. They could actually come and look after me all the time. And I finally found one, and everything just worked in place. And I wanted to get back into the thing, and I enjoy it. It's if you don't enjoy it, and if everybody else tell you what to do, it ain't gonna happen. You gotta want it yourself. If you don't want it yourself, forget about it. It's not gonna happen.
Now I saw you were touching topics on your 3 world championships that you won, which is, outstanding as well. Which one of them was the hardest in your opinion? I know you went back to back with one of them as well. Which one for you was the hardest?
Well, my hair is lifting in my back actually when you says like that, because that's it's the things I used to be in your age, like this. No disrespect, but that way I actually looked up to everyone, and finally I was in the World Championship with all the guys I was looking up to, Greg and Billy and Golub and Ricardson and you name it, all of them were there, and all of a sudden, I was fighting with them, and we came down to last round in 2003, where actually I could win it. I was fourth when we got there, and then I was third, and then I was second, and it ended up in the 2 semifinals with me and Jason Crump, and then I won it. So that was amazing. I think that year we did 11 rounds, and I probably crashed in all of them. I did 9. I was in 9 finals, and I still remember I pretty much crashed in all of them. That was tough at that time. Also the tracks, don't forget about the tracks at that time. Now the indoors tracks is pretty cool, and they got it figured out and sorted.
Do you believe in consistency more than winning? Like, would you rather risk a first place, or would you rather just take a third place for this round, knowing you'll still be in the championship lead?
It's hard to say. I know what you're saying, and that definitely the consistency is a championship to win it. That's for sure. If you gamble all the time, I'm as we all know, I've been hard over the years, but I wouldn't have had a 3 world championship if I kept racing into people, or if I kept falling off my bike. It wouldn't have happened then. So consistency is absolutely very, very important, and you got to take the chances, and that's why I still racing, because the chances, you can't buy that for money, and the feeling, when it's actually you believed it, and then it worked. You also know in Speedway, if you see something and you think you want to do that, then it's already too late. You got to plan and gamble a little bit sometime, but that comes by experience as well. That he was doing that the lap before, and he's probably not going to close it up at the fence coming into the turn, so I might take him around him into the turn. So, but consistency is definitely the key of all.
So
for sure,
you've had quite a long career, and also going against different. Leave Nicki there. There we go. You've competed against a lot of different riders. You come from the era of the Tony Ricardsons and Jason Crumps, and to riding today, riding against people like Bartos and stuff. What, in your opinion, are they all hard, or was there a particular time where you were like, I'm out of my depth here. This is tough.
Well, I never ever seen any world championships riders that have won the world championship that haven't been hard, haven't learned from their mistakes. They haven't learned from their crashes and stuff. So all of them, is tough cookies. And even those guys just below that haven't won the world championship yet, they're also fighting. They just didn't. As I always said, I wasn't the best speed rider in the world, but I wanted more than the others. And it worked. I kept working on the things. If I make mistakes, I learn from that. My dad always said, if you do that thing 3 times in a row, then you are dumb. You learn from the mistake. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to get any better. So you have to make it. Yeah, exactly. So, but as you said, a good example is Smaslik. Fantastic rider, absolutely fantastic rider. And I admire him. He got into the group with with me and Tony Ricardson. That's won it 2 years in a row, which is very nice. But as you know, he's the most lovely person in the pit. He wants it to be like that, But on the track, don't get me wrong, he wants to win, and he take every little inch which is possible. But that's the way it is. That's the game, I don't have problem with that.
And what's really funny is that Bartos, one of the first times I met him, I was really young at that time, and I remember we were at like Gorzov Grand Prix or something like that, and he came up to me and he shook my hand and he was like, "I'm Bartos," with his high pitched voice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And every single time I see him, he still comes up and shakes my hand or gives us a hug. Such a lovely dude. But when you go out there and you watch him, he's hanging off the bike. He's doing everything he can to win. That's awesome that you said that.
I think he gets quite away with a lot of things because he's the way he is, But as long he is a true person and he's not a fake person, then I don't have a problem with that. I have to say I hate people that want to be friends in the pits and stuff like that and try to make friendships. And when we get on the track, they get kind of a bit hard guys and dirty ridings. They don't need to be like that. Just be yourself, And then when you get on the track, if something happened, then we got a referee up there to sort it out, So. Yeah, and I'm 100% sure that Bartos, he is like that. I know him when I rode in Gorsov with me and Golov was the two top boys. Then he was the junior rider. He's always been a lovely kid. So I respect him. And I just admire first of all that he's an honest person. A lot of people could learn from that.
Yeah, definitely agree.
For sure.
We're gonna move on from those topics. You've had some controversial, decisions that's happened during your career. In your opinion, throughout your career, what's one of the most unfair things that's happened to you when I mean in racing? If you think that someone did you wrong or whatever you think like that.
Well, it's always easy to point on people, but if you point on people, it's always three fingers pointing on yourself. Mm-hmm. And people that don't know me, they never thought I would say things like that, but I might turning around all the time in my work, but I'm not a stupid guy, when it comes to that. I always look myself in a mirror, see, could we have done that any better? Look it from the helicopter perspective and see how was this situation, did I do any wrong or what can I learn from that? But what comes up in my mind when you says like that, I won in 2007, I won in 2008, and I was on the mission for the third one in a row, but I felt in the Speedway sport there was something that they did not want that to happen. It become a bit boring somehow that Nicki's just going to guide and then disappear and then score enough points and then going to win. So I remember in Gothenburg Grand Prix, I passed at Emil Seiferdinov in there. I love him, lovely kid, It wasn't his fault. He was just racing, And I passed at him on the third lap and on the inside, and we were only half through the on the straight, and we wasn't even turning yet. But when I passed at him, he started turn, and then he turned straight into my back wheel, and then he fell off the bike. It's just things, you do sometimes because you felt under pressure and stuff, It could have been any of us doing that, But the referee, that was absolutely wrong, We could all see that, and it also ended up that I kicked my blue paper roll, that threw into my TV screen, so it was half kind of smashed, and then I tried to smash it with my fist, to actually to clear it all out, and it ended up that I broke the wrist.
You serious?
So, and 10 days later, I had the Danish Grand Prix, so I put down the bone myself again, and I got a cast on. It's a long story short. 3 days later, we already put physio on it, and we had 7 days left. So my physio started giving me a tennis ball, and she said, "You gotta start squeezing with it because it's gonna happen. It's gonna hurt anyhow. What's gonna happen." So we take the cast off, and then you just start getting used to the pain. And it was a Danish Grand Prix, and actually I don't remember how many points I scored, but I got through the 5 heats at least, and we got some points on board. So we have been through some crazy time, but also times that you can't buy for money.
For sure.
Yeah.
And do you think that was... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I've got a question here from Nathan Miller. It's a good one. Everyone knows that you like to get into other riders' heads, take their power away, use it against them. Which riders do you find most difficult to affect and are most resilient to it? Is there anyone that just doesn't have it and they're like, don't give a shit what you say or do to them?
Well, I'm still kind of the old school guy, I speak to the new guys. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't feel too much I can learn anything or get anything feedback, because I'm not kind of believing what they're saying all the time, and I don't have a problem with any, I say what I feel, they say to me what they feel, we got it worked out anyhow. But the old school, I have to say, I respect that so much more. When I spoke, just a classic example, me and Greg, no matter what have happened over the years, if something we had to stay together, we did, we talk professional, we talk business-wise, how can we do this and that, and we figured it out. The same with Golov, the same with Jason Crump. Probably Jason Crump is probably the hardest cookie I was fighting with, and I think I was more to a trouble for him than I was to him. Because he was supposed to take over after Tony, then all of a sudden I came in between and I took the world championship before him. He was second 4 years in a row, just after Tony Ricardo. So he had enough now. He wanted to win it. And then I took over. But I remember that Jason all the time, I like him, we even chatting sometimes on the social media, which I respect very much. And he was also the first one to text me, when I broke the neck. I always knew I had the respect for me. We have had tough times, but he was a kind of a guy, he wanted to speak to me before each meetings, especially the Grand Prix, have a little chat, and I didn't want to speak to him because there's nothing to speak about. We knew we knew what we was going to do. Of course, we could chat and say hello and that. There wasn't any bad atmosphere, but I'm pretty sure that he had some funny things that if he could talk to people, and then he could mind game them. And I felt that it's irritated him that he couldn't speak that much to me, and I find out, okay, if you just try to ignore that even more, then it's maybe going to work any better. I don't know. I want to ask him one day how he felt about it. We haven't discussed that yet. But what a time we had together, over the years.
Brilliant.
For sure.
So we had Ashley Holloway on before, and we spoke to him, and we sort of asked him how he got into what he's doing today, and he said that he tried to go to Denmark and he tried to race, and he just wasn't on that level, and and he was packing up and ready to leave Denmark, and he's seen you in a town square or something, and you gave him a job.
Yeah,
I can't remember the full story, but what's your story on your relationship with Ashley?
Well, it's a classic, great example of some people, if they want it enough, then they can make it happen, Yeah. And, probably people were saying at that time he was very young that he was stupid doing things, but we have all been stupid, But he hasn't been that stupid enough to not think, okay, Speedway wasn't my way to do, but then I can be a mechanic. And then afterwards, now he's one of the best tuners in the world, Yeah. So you got to find your place where you actually feel that you believe to, and where it works out and what you enjoy. And I still remember, it wasn't even me. Ashley likes me, I can call him anytime, and the other way, anybody that have worked for me, got the respect for me, even what have happened, people don't think that we're friends, but there's none of them that wouldn't come back as they worked for me. But what happened, there was something going on with my chief mechanic and then Ashley, they were kind of teaching each other. They were a little bit in kind of feeling a relationship, somehow. And all of a sudden, Ashley just had enough, and we were boiling the chains at that time, and 3 days later we were looking after the chains where there was, and they were still boiling in the big in the big pocket, where it was boiling. It wasn't even turned on. It wasn't even turned off yet. So the chains, they were just ready for the bend. They've been boiling off.
That's crazy.
Through the chain loop, yeah. No, but I saw him last year. I went actually last year after the current chain was finished, and we had a chat in his workshop, So great guy.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah. All right.
We've got a video here. Let's play the video, and when we had Chris Holder on before, we asked him about the situation and what happened, and it'd be great to hear your side of the story as well. So it's from the 2012 when Chris won. Oh,
You got it.
oh, is it not playing?
It was playing down there.
I clearly remember that one.
There you go.
That's the wrong video.
That's the wrong one, yeah. It's in Torrent, isn't
Sorry,
it?
2 seconds. I'll get it.
Oh, come on, Jerry.
I know. Sorry about this, guys. I've done this many times, and
But this time you mess up.
Yeah.
Don't stress you, just under 2 minutes.
There we go.
Perfect.
Right.
You want to add it to stream, or you got it?
Yeah, add it to the stream. There you go.
You can see just the dead, scared face with all of them. They're all like, "Oh my goodness, what's going to happen?"
What a game.
Phenomenal start. Wow.
But picture says it all, doesn't it, I'm 90% sure if I was in red helmet, I would have been excluded.
So what was said here then?
I
Nicki?
have to say that was a mind game, and I felt I nearly had him out, but luckily he was so lucky that he had Jason at that time to take him to the side. And sometimes us country guys, of course we respect our country, and if something happened, the other guy can win it, then it's a bonus, but Jason was on the way, on the retiring, and then Chris was just sort of, he could get there sooner or later. So Jason took over. I was surprised that Jason took him, like we see there. It's fantastic pictures. Absolutely fantastic pictures. And I knew from that point, probably I that was it. He was gonna get back in and win that race. But I don't know what Chris have said. Me and Chris had fantastic together also nowadays. There's no problem at all. But it would be nice to hear actually what he said. But I believe that Jason Crump, he did a massive thing to him to stay focused for that rerun.
Yeah,
we had Jason on the show as well, and Jason was just saying, like, listen, calm down. You got it. You all have to go out there and you have to dump the clutch. That's all you got to do. Go out there and make a start. That's really he just block yourself out. Go ride your bike. Because sometimes that's all you need to do, and people overthinking and stuff like that.
Just clear your brain. But that
Chris
is
said the same thing. He said that he got to the start line and he forgot everything. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I do. And he said, what do I do? And he said, you just go out there and drop the clutch. He went, no, don't be silly. Like, what do I do? And he said, just chill out, mate. You've done it a million times. Just go out there, drop the clutch, and go.
But I think, like you said, it's easy to say like that, but actually to get up there and actually just to clear your brain. But that's what I have learned, and I can only talk for myself, what works for me and what doesn't work for me. I think lots of people have lots of doubts all the time coming up to the tape. Should I take that bike? Should I have done this yet? Or should I change the clutch? I clear my brain completely. I don't care if there's been a bump just blowed away in the town next to. I don't care what happened with the race before. I'm here now. The next kind of 2 minutes, I just got to focus, and get the absolutely best out of it. And that's why I do my routine all the time, do my goggles, check the helmets, check the clutch levers and stuff like that. Just keep on routining. And I don't look at anybody else when they get ready, and then I feel the clock over there and I see, it start ticking down. And as soon as that comes down, then I get up there. And it just works for me, like you said, you got to be prepared, you got to be ready. But the more you can clear your brain and just do it instantly, things in and out all the time, then the more consistent you get and the better you get all the time, because your brain, sometimes, I don't listen to the brain, listen to the stomach, and the stomach never's wrong.
Yeah. I remember being
butterflies,
I remember being at Eastbourne, and I stood behind you once, and you were watching the racing, but I was watching you, and you had your hand down by your side, but when the guys were at the tapes, you went like that. You did the reaction,
boom, boom,
as if
boom.
you were going from the start, but
Yeah,
you were stood in the pits.
Yeah. But you got to do that. You got to get into your body. You know, I can do running. You know, on the street. I'm jumping over the white bitches or the black ones or whatever I put into my brain today. Small thing, you trick yourself all the time. You know, this reflex. You know, Speedway is a lot of times about the reflex. You know, you gotta boom, boom, instantly get ready all the time. And I always did that. You know, if I wasn't in heat one or stuff like that, then I always just looked. You know, and just tried to get myself pumped up. I always been good with the reflex, you know. But it's you gotta keep focus and do the thing. So as soon as the tape goes up, boom, you can't tell, you know. Okay, then the tape starts go up, and then you gotta drop it. It gotta comes from the back, you know. If you start think too much, then then you're too slow.
Yeah. Okay,
you got a fair point there.
That's cool. So going back to what you were saying, how you was top 10 in the averages in the Polish league and things like that, do you feel a little bit hard done by not being given the wild card? I think it was 2 years ago to be back in the Grand Prix?
I was kind of thankful that they didn't give it to me. Now we're talking, you know, free, and I'm always an honest guy. I kind of felt a little bit the team, you know, we was just gonna get a wild card anyhow. And you know that I end of the day you can only complain yourself, you know. End of the day I'm the owner of the team, you know. I didn't get them waked up hard enough, but I felt that we're gonna get it anyhow because they can't race the Grand Prix without Nicki. And I felt we're not just there just to be there, you know. We're there, you know, to achieve something. So I was happy that they didn't give it to me, you know. They talked about the first reserve and stuff like that, and then I think that was the year when all that terrible things with Greg happened when he stayed back in America and stuff. So I wouldn't have been in it anyhow. But I'm glad I said no. I'm away. I want to get out, you know. And one day, if something happened, if I feel ready again, you know, we all see, you know, me and Greg have passed the age anyhow, you know, over the 40s and still continues, you know. So I enjoyed, you know, and never say never. I learned that from England about the, you know, you never know. Anything can come up, anything can happen. And in Speedway and in normal life, age is just a number. So I was kind of happy that I could step down a little bit, you know, and maybe that have extended, you know, my career a little bit. You know, you realize, oh, this is not too bad of a life you're having there.
Talking of age, Alan Rossiter just commented on here saying, had the pleasure of being his partner at Wolves. Always a gentleman when we met.
Yeah, that's true. You know, he's one of the guys I can just call him to in England, and then he would do anything what I ask him to. Nearly everything, I think.
Roscoe's a good dude. He's a good dude.
He is a fantastic guy, and he put the atmosphere. He put the laugh, you know, into the team and wherever atmosphere, whatever he's doing, you know. I respect it. And even a guy like him, he knew he was never going to be world champion, you know. So to find your level,
you might have just told him now. He might not have realized that.
Well, he's not a stupid guy, you know. He knew, because he couldn't have that much of a laugh if he was still hunting something and he wasn't happy what he was actually doing. You gotta find your level, you know. Of course, you need to do mistakes and step over the red line sometimes, but you know, the quicker you find your level, the quicker you can enjoy what you're actually doing, and you can make it for living.
Yeah. So here's my mum. She's commented, "How disappointed are you that
you can't race in
Sheffield?
You can't race in Sheffield this year."
Well, I'm very disappointed. Absolutely very disappointed. You know, I wanted it as much as all the fans wanted it. A place like Sheffield, I always have good memories. I used to come up there. I used to live up there. And whenever I raced on the track, you know, in Sheffield, you know, it's one of the fastest in the world, you know, in racing track. It's a proper racing track. If you are faster than the guy in front of you, you will pass him sooner or later. And I have such a respect for tracks like that, you know. It's so I was again, like last year, I was ready again. I felt I was I felt hungry. I wanted to do something, and then it came up with me and Simon was talking, and we got the deal sorted, and I was ready. My bike is even still in UK. They're still over there. So, but nobody knows what's going to happen. Never say never. Maybe one day, maybe end of season, whatever. We don't know yet. But I will be back somehow.
For sure.
I got good memories from England.
So, going back to my mum saying about you being disappointed about racing in Sheffield, she told me earlier that she'd actually worked out her shifts to see what she's a nurse. So she's worked out what shifts that she was working and when she wasn't working to go in with the Sheffield schedule. And we live 7.5 hours away. So my mum was intending on this year or last year, intending on going to Sheffield to come and watch you race in Sheffield. It would have been nearly a 15-hour round trip for my mum to do that.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic thing to hear things like that, But I have never doubted things like that. I have lots of fans that they follow me. They came with lots of different things to me, But just actually for them to personally to turn up, I can't thank them enough what they did and how much they actually respected me. But I could see they wanted it badly, I wouldn't say they wanted more than me. I mean, because you cannot give anything to anybody else if you don't want it more badly than they wanted. So I understood them, and I admire that they was waiting until we were finished after meetings. Sometimes we met before meetings. But the fans I've had in over the years and still have and in the past, it's fantastic. It gives me good memories from what happened.
That's really cool to hear. So what's your opinion on the Poland situation at the moment? How they had, some of the riders, they're ruling out the riders to stop racing from other countries. And did you like that change, or did you not have a say in it, or what did you think?
Well, I could easily say in my kind of age and stepping down a little bit that 2 leagues would be enough for me. But I don't look at that way. I wanted to come back to Sheffield, and I also wanted to do in Sweden. And of course, I do Denmark and Poland. I was ready for the full target, the full circle again, because I feel up for it and I feel hungry. But what I'm also looking at, I'm a kind of a guy, my heart is in the Speedway. I'm looking at guys like 23 years old. Let's say they got a contract in Extra Liga in Poland. They can race in their home country. And if he starts doing not too well in Poland and they don't take him all the time and he only race in his own little league, he can't show what he's doing up in Sweden, which is a quite big league up there. You race against the top boys. Then he wouldn't get a second chance because they can't see in Poland. He starts scoring points again in Sweden. Well, we might call him and bring him back to Poland. I think that's a very shame for the sport. And what happened next? How are we going to develop any better Speedway riders if they can't get into Poland, only race there, and they can't race in a couple of other leagues? The whole circus in Speedway is that you do 3 or 4 leagues, especially when you're very young. And a lot of the young riders, they want to race more because the more they race, the less they're thinking and the less junk food they're probably also eating, Yeah. And they want to get going. And I know exactly the feeling, and I'm kind of the same, that I like to do the racing, but I also love to not racing. So I learned that I don't have a problem with this or this, but I think it's a shame for the sport in general that they have done what they have done. But I already knew last year because they were already starting making rules and stuff like that. And they said we could only do 1 league extra, and then they came up with 2 leagues. And I had a talk with my Danish federation, no bad feeling, but I said to them they need to step up sooner or later, because sooner or later Poland is going to take it all, and then we're only going to be racing down there, and if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But if all the other Svemo in Sweden and DMU in Denmark and BSB in England, if they want to continue like we've done in decades, then they should start do something. It's not about the riders anymore. They can't do anything.
So when we spoke to Doyley, he was saying that he actually benefits from racing more. So by him now having a limited schedule because of the Extra Liga rule, then he's in a way not going to be as good a rider as he could be when, for instance, when he won his World Championship, it was the most races he'd ever raced in one season.
Mm.
You know, and there are a few riders like that want to be racing as much as they possibly can. You know, it should really be the rider. It should be the rider's choice, I feel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's many riders like that I hear in the past. They love to race all the time, because then if they get on the roll, then easily, just continues, And if they're not on the roll, they had a bad meeting, then they're sitting waiting for another week before they got the next one, and they're already drained in the brain until they get onto the bike again. It's a mental game, and if you haven't figured your top up yet, then you're your own enemy. So that's why they want to race all the time, I think, because they get going and the less you're thinking. So I understand the guys, and that's the way Speedway have been for so many years.
Yeah.
But what can we do? Everything is probably developed, and then I one thing I can say with Poland, I respect the way they're running it. They're damn professional. Things looks good. We have the same team closest. We're turning up with this and that, and the Kevlars. And if we take the Kevlars down and we don't have a local T-shirts underneath, we bang Monday morning. You got an email. You got a warning first time, and second time you got a fine. So no doubt, other countries should look into Poland what they're doing, because they're doing the right thing. That they shouldn't just take it all. Still need to make speedway riders from other countries to keep the sport so interesting like it is at the moment in Poland.
For sure.
Yeah, and like for instance in the UK, you're not able to now come and race in the UK, which then makes the product of Speedway in the UK less, which is quite short-sighted for the Polish league, because how are they going to develop the riders to ride in that league if there's only ever going to come from Poland,
Yeah, absolutely right. That's what I said, and like I said, I had the heart in the sport, so I'm not just thinking about myself. Yeah, it's a plus for me because riders get less meetings, and maybe I gotta get squeezed in. I don't look like that. I look at my own ways and I stay focused, and I would like to do what we always done, in the previous years, because that works. And we like a circus, one day you're together with a lad on the team, next day you're against him, it just worked perfectly. But let's see what's gonna happen, It's and hopefully they could open up for something with England and Denmark and Sweden could do something, to open a little bit up with the Polish guys.
Have one big league between England, Denmark, and Sweden would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Now, I know you don't have 3 of your fingers, is that right?
2.
Okay, so 2 of them. So, can you tell us the story of what happened? I don't think many people know that.
I was stupid that day. I was 2 years old. My dad had just built a new Citroen garage factory, selling the cars with the workshop and everything. And it's just opened, been open for 2 weeks. And I was 2 years old, and he was trying to shut down the garage. And I was all of a sudden went out of the workshop, and there was a Citroen 2CV. Just got home, got from the factories. There was 5 of them in a row, and one of them I got into, and I put it into the gear, and then I turned the key. At that time, you couldn't start the car. At that time, you could turn the key, and then you had to push the bottom. So all 3 things: put it into the gear, turn the bottom, and push the bottom. And then I took the car, and it went right down to the bus. And that didn't cut my fingers off. But then my mom and dad come and pulled me out of the car and put me into the workshop. And then 10 minutes later, I stood with the tire machine. When the tire machine with the 3 hooks, changing the tires of the rim of the car. There wasn't any rim on. There was just the round plate with the 3 hooks. And I put the fingers in, and I pushed the bottom, and the 3 hooks just came out, and then it cut my fingers.
Really?
And then I start screaming a bit.
And that was in one day.
It was in one day.
Now that is one interesting day.
So
So do you remember that, or is it? It's just
I don't remember that. So luckily, I don't remember. So people saying they can remember things, when they're less than 2 years old, I can tell them they cannot, because I would also remember things like that. But my mom, my mom told me, as soon as they came running down at that time, that was in 79. At that time, they thought they should keep the fingers warm So she took my fingers and put them into her mouth and kept it until the ambulance came. And people that have kids, you know, you do anything for them. So if they fell off, they will feel like horrible, but you do anything, you know, if that can save them. But it's just changed in the end of 70s that you were actually supposed to put them in ice. So as soon as the ambulance turned up, they put it into the ice box, but they already started getting a bit black, my mom said. But then anyhow, they closed down the garage. The ambulance went off with me. And then they said, you know, they would call when there was some news. And then they called, you know, an hour later, you know, that I could come now because they did what they could do. And as soon as they came out there, I was already playing, you know, in the playground, you know, with some other kids, just with a big bandage around my hand. So I probably got it from there, from right in there with the spoon, you know, when I was a kid, getting a kind of a white cool guy, you know. And my mom was kind of happy that, okay, he didn't took it too bad actually. And then I couldn't. I was probably a right hand at that time, but for nearly 6 months I couldn't use that hand, so I just started using the left hand with drawing things, you know. And nowadays I'm left-handed.
Okay.
So you can achieve if you want something, and you can make it happen if you want to.
For sure. And so, do you have special gloves made?
Yeah, I have the special ones because they're irritating all the time. I had to put them on, so they fit to my fingers here like the normal tops do here. So I cut them off, you know, and I do that with my girlfriend every year, and then we got a lady that actually makes them nice, you know, 10 new pairs every year, and it's nice to take it on, and it feels like it's there, you know. It was irritating before when they're just wobbling around. So yeah.
So didn't you have a story?
I was gonna say, I was chatting with Billy Hamill the other day, and you guys of him, or you two, have been racing for a long time and together in different teams and stuff. And he specifically remembers a great story of when I don't know what league you guys were in, but you guys were racing together, and he was late for a heat or something like that, and he was looking for his gloves, and he couldn't find his gloves, and you were the only rider in the pits, and he's like, "Nicky, give me your gloves," and you're like, "I can't," and he's like, "Nicky, give me your goddamn gloves." He's like, "I can't, Billy, I can't," and Billy ended up saying, he's like, "For fuck's sake, Nicky, give me your gloves," and he's like, "Billy," or what is it, like this? Yeah, "Billy, I can't." and he keeps telling us that story, and we crack up every time because it's funny. And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
exactly. But I have never ever had any shame on it or anything, you know, never ever.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely never ever. But I have been, you know, but I'm kind of only racing with the 3 fingers because those 2 is just laying on the throttle things, you know. So I need to be a little bit kind of stronger in my thumb, which can cause problems if you're not strong enough in your arms.
For sure.
But I worked it out. You know, I could have complained to myself all the time, and I could have been my own enemies. You know, I think, I can't, you know, do everything because I don't have my 5 fingers. You got to figure out how to work it out. You know, and
No
I did.
excuses.
Do you play any tricks with your kids?
Sorry?
You know, do you play any tricks with the kids and just be like, "Hey, look."
Yeah. Of course I am. You know, if somebody asks, you know, it's always from the desert. You know, I couldn't get home or run out of water. You know, and I was hungry, and I ate them. You know, stuff like that. You know.
Brilliant. So we touched on your house and your race preparation being perfect. And does this picture irritate you? Because it irritates me.
Bad. Good view. Not bad.
No, I was thinking that the engine's upside down.
Oh.
When I seen it earlier, I was like, "Oh, that's cool that you had the things all cut out for the engine. It's in a Pele case." And then I noticed that the engine was the wrong way around because the wheels are at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, the wheels are at the top of the engine.
Yeah. But this was just it doesn't really matter, you know. This was just an experiment, you know. They make boxes to militaries and stuff, you know. So the lifetime guarantee in those boxes, you can throw with them, you know. They wouldn't hardly break, and if they break, the lifetime guarantee on the wheels on anything, they're so fantastic. They're so fantastic what they have achieved, and they actually contacted me. They wanted to have characters, you know, and they one of the bigger ones, you know, in the world. They make boxes, you know, for special tools and special things, and and when people in drummers and stuff like that have to be very careful with their stuff. They make it for them in those ways. So it's nice, as you see. I stepped out of the Grand Prix just for a little while. Who knows? But I always try to develop. I never give up. I want to improve all the time, and to get the right gear for my mechanics and stuff. If they enjoy it and it's easier for them to carry to the tuner, then I love to do things like that.
Yeah. So is that a Speedway Chat Show exclusive that Nicky's not given up on the Grand Prix just yet?
No. But again, you never know. Never say never. But the way the Grand Prix at the moment, I love to watch it. They're doing damn good. It's I really enjoy my leagues. And the European Championships have been enough for me. And it's sometimes you miss it. For sure you do. But again, you gotta have the full crew. You gotta have full sponsors around you and stuff like that to get it worked out. But at the moment, I really enjoy my sport, and maybe that have extended my career, for a little bit to step down like I did.
Yeah,
cool. So we've got you on some other bikes. Did you crash this, or is that on purpose?
Never crashed. I never crashed, and that was my pit bike in the Grand Prix. It was behind my big truck. It was some trick. At that time, we stayed. Most of the time, the crew stayed on the stadiums and stuff like that. And so you spend a lot of times with the riders and the mechanics and sponsors, VIP things there. And that one there, we used it for anything, for shopping and for going for the pits and to the lorries and stuff. And yeah, it was kind of a trick, And no, I never crashed that one.
That's a cool photo.
What about this one?
Yeah, that's another pit bike.
They would let you ride those around in the pits?
Yeah. It was.
I've actually got one of those at home.
It's like the Honda type. I just think that one was the Japan one.
Yeah, I've got a Honda Monkey bike at home.
Yeah, they're cool.
And what's going on here?
Ooh.
Fully in control? Just
no, absolutely not.
tricks.
I just saw that the other day on the net. Actually, there was my teammate. He crashed right in front of me, and I kind of make a flywheel over him. And then when I land like this, and I try to stay on, which I shouldn't, because I knew sooner or later I was gonna crash anyhow. So, but it's a cool picture, But I did crash afterwards.
Well, it looks legit. It looks like you were just trying to, race like that. All the others, the spray from all the other riders and stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to get streamlined.
Yeah.
Now,
I'll always try to hang on if I can.
I found this photo earlier, and I've only added this because I was just curious. Was there something on this woman's top?
On the what? Sorry.
I said was there something on her top that you noticed?
No. Was I looking there? I didn't even see. I got the sunglasses on.
It looks like you're looking straight at her.
I disagree.
And we got this one here as well. Headstand.
Oh. Yeah, just Nils Christian Iversen just crashed in front of me, and another ramp I tried to get over, and it didn't happen. My bike just stopped on the middle of his bike, and I just continued like a bullet. And then I tried to roll a little bit. I bent my head, but it ended up like it was like making a jump into the swimming pool. And I heard straight away my neck it just said, so I knew straight away the neck was broken. And when I then, it's the one I broke the neck for a second time. When I laid there, which I'm glad I got experience. When I laid there, you always try to feel if you can feel the leg and the hands and stuff like that. And I tried to actually lift my chest. I did, but my head just stayed on the ground. It didn't want to lift up, so that means the muscles was damaged a little bit, or the nerves was just kind of sleeping. So I knew, okay, that's it. I need to stay calm, and get the stabilized, and then see what happened. But I knew I could feel the legs and arms, so I wasn't that curious and nervous. But I knew I had to stay until they got the ambulance.
And something else, I've found these pictures on your social media as well of like the fans in Poland.
Tremendous.
Just as a, as a, what's the word? Like
spectator.
If you go back to the beginning of your career, could you explain what it's like riding in front of the crowds like that in Poland for the British youth that are riding around in England and they've got a few hundred people, maybe 1,000 people to riding in a Polish league? That's got to be.
But don't get me wrong. The British fans, it's always been tremendous. I still remember the sound and the music and everything. Any different clubs in British Speedway, they had their own songs, and the nurse was starting with that song, was banging, and the home team came in and stuff like that, and the fan was always cheering. But I know what you're saying is there's a difference between, a couple of thousands, and then there's 10 to 15,000. But the atmosphere and the feeling, was tremendous in England. But yeah, back to Poland, it is good. It is fantastic, and that's a mind game also. You gotta get emotional, you gotta be happy about it, but you also need to stay focused and stay cool. If you let it get too much to yourself, then it's hard to race, and because there's too much pressure from the outside.
Hashtag said that the quad fell out the back of the truck in Sweden.
Yeah. It snapped. The bracket snapped. And Ashley was probably driving the lorry, and he didn't see anything. We could hear it. But yeah, it's right. It snapped, and then I think actually we was only 10-15 kilometers away where we were supposed to be, and then I just drove it. I took my helmet on, and then I drove it to the stadium. I think we were on the way to the stadium somewhere.
Oh, that's funny.
Great times, great memories.
All right, bud. Well, I mean, we're at the hour mark, so I think we'll cut it there. It's been an amazing show, really insightful into your career, and and hopefully when we get some racing, and maybe we'll get you back on the show and we'll talk to you again and stuff like that.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, guys.
It's been great. Thanks very much.
Thanks for everything.
Yeah. Anybody want to put any last little messages to Nicki in the comments? He'll see the messages as we're going out. So. There we go. So cheers, Nicki. If you stay in the background, we'll come and speak to you after the show. No cheers, bud.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. Well, that was an awesome show.
Yeah, really happy with that. So there has been how can I say this? So this week I've heard some amazing news that's coming out of Plymouth Gladiators. So on Saturday, they're allowed to. I think they're allowed to announce on Saturday some of the new things about them, where they're going and what they're doing, and I think team riders and things like that. So keep an eye out for that. I think you're all going to be impressed with that. But next Wednesday, Nicki, we've been trying to get Nicki for a long time to get him on the show. And I've been pestering him, going, dude, is there any chance we can get you on this week? And it finally happened. And then to go back to back with somebody else that I've wanted to get on the show for a long time is a massive pleasure as well. So next Wednesday at 7:30 UK time, we have the 2000 world champion, Mr. Mark Laram. So next week, Mark Laram is going to be on the show. Get your questions in for Mark. Ask what he's up to nowadays, and what's his highlights and things like that. We'll get him on, and we're going to ask him all of those questions. So next Wednesday, Mark Laram. It's going to be a good one.
It was awesome.
Anything else, Wilbur?
No, I think that's it. Make sure to tune in. Oh yes, I mean, I don't know. I'm speechless right now. This is a major thing for my career. If you would like to watch, it's probably going to be around. My races will be around 7 p.m. our time, so that would be about 4 or 5 in the morning. Yeah, 3 something like that, whatever it is. XSRA.tv. That is where to watch it. We can post a link later this week. I think Jerry will make some posts about it and stuff like that. Yeah. So massive thanks.
Speedway Chat Show has a little. We have a little ad in the show, so we're one of the Heat sponsors or something like that. So we'll get a link out, and You don't have to watch it live. I think you have 30 days to watch it. So if you're not going to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch Wilbur take his first competitive 500 meeting, then watch it first thing in the morning on Sunday.
Yes.
Should be a good one.
I'm excited. It's been great. Thanks, Nicki, for coming on. It's been great. Thank you for everyone watching. We had some great viewers. Numbers went up a lot this week. Very excited for next week's show as well. And I'll speak about my races that week as well. So, Jez?
Adios, guys. See you
Peace.
soon. Bye.